So guys, I want to thank you all for your patience. Let's get started on our next game. In the lower left-hand corner, his name is going to be Tokido Saya. And if I'm not mistaken, he's representing Team Braveheart. And in the upper right, spawning as our blue Protoss, it's going to be Calm Storm. I don't mean to downplay this player by any means, but I don't know much about Calm Storm. I've been out of the loop far too long with the online Starcraft 2 content that's been getting cranked out in Taiwan and China. Mostly I've been busy trying to prepare myself for a day job with esports and things of that nature. And I have that right now, but it's an office job and it means a lot less casting. A little bit more boring, but hey, it keeps me in esports, right? Map we're on right now is Moonlight's Mad Heat? Moonlight Blaze? I think that's what it translates into English as. Not sure. But like I said, this is where I must apologize yet again. I don't play a lot of Heart of the Swarm. I'm mostly playing Legacy of the Void these days. After all, we're all looking forward to the day when big Archon mode tournaments happen like today's Red Bull Battlegrounds, right? So the probes cross paths, and this is perfectly normal. Now, the abnormality would be to see if either player actually sees pylons coming out, or excuse me, a missing pylon in one or the other's main. Okay. So at this point, Tokido Saya goes in. He sees just about everything that is normal at this stage in the game. So what he's going to try and do is aggro his opponent's probes to get them off of the mineral patches that are closest to his mineral line. In Legacy of the Void, it's not worth your time to do this. Although in Heart of the Swarm, it still is. Calm's just gonna pace back and forth here. And I must say, I'm glad now more than ever before that Yoi Flashwolves is still fostering local talent here in Taiwan. Calm, I mean, I imagine his position on the team is perhaps B-teamer, if you will. The reason why he doesn't have Yoi Flashwolves in his tag is maybe he's simply too lazy to actually swap it out, or maybe he's waiting for his next season name change or something of that nature. But Yoi Flashwolves will do a lot to foster their team, or foster their B team players. It's almost arguably to the extent that it's almost like being at a Korean training house. So there's a Twilight Council, and if I'm not mistaken, hold on, let's double check that. No, wow, Tokido did not spot that. So this is looking like it's gonna be an ordinary-ish 2-gate forward pressure with a Twilight Council tacked onto it. While back at home from Tokido Saya, we're gonna have a Stargate going down, and I don't believe our blue Protoss has spotted this. No, he has not. So both players kind of going at this a little bit blind, if you will. I will do what I can to cover this event with VODs, addressing one or two concerns in the chat room right now, but that's about it. Here we go. Dark Shrine. Whoa, 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 whoa. I think Calm has been taking way too many lessons from Haz. This is where things can seriously backfire. Just seriously, seriously backfire. First Oracle is out. There's the second one on the way. This is basically blind counter, guys. There's a pylon nearby, but I feel as though once that Twilight Council is even spotted, Tokido will have an idea of just what is coming from his opponent. Oh, here we go. That Oracle has arrived. Sees a Robo, he sees, oh boy. Okay, well, he doesn't see the Dark Shrine yet, which is good for Calm at this moment. I just spotted it. Now what's the reaction back at home? We're going to Tokido TV. There it is. He knows. He knows the drill. And that DT is going to come up here. The question is, will Tokido be able to actually react in time? We're about to find out. Stalker pokes out just a little bit. Sentry's in position. Force field goes down perfectly. So now what is the real question? I mean, we saw only a handful of probes get taken down by our red Protoss, Tokido Saya, and that, I think, was just about enough. I mean, especially given the fact that we see Calm expended a lot of resources to get other tech out, and not just other tech, but rather the ability to produce multiple or different kinds of units with that tech. Adding to that, the fact that Tokido Saya has already taken his natural, that puts Calm quite a bit behind. There's no other way to say it. Sorry about that. Just trying to get a more secure position or look at what is happening in game from my end. By the way, do kind of let me know how the frame rate is. I should be at 60 frames per second right now. Ooh, ooh, oh. Too bad that wasn't Blink Twilight Council opener. Well, Takedo sees the natural. What does he do from here? I mean, if he really wanted to pester his opponent, I imagine maybe... Nah. He wouldn't do that. Not with Blink on the way. Never mind. I was going to say, like, maybe he could actually throw down a pylon here. Warp in a sentry. Force field off that ramp, then use some gateway units to kill this. But that would not be feasible, simply based on the merit that we have Blink just about to finish up. Alright, meanwhile, back at home. For Takedo Saya, he's going to be getting a forge, and that is going to let him get his upgrades just a little bit faster than that of his opponent. And at this stage in the game, we can see, just based on how many workers there are, that, you know, this really speaks to the fractions of how far behind Calm Storm is. He's going to try and move out, and I like this move. It's better to do something rather than to just sit at home all day and do nothing and hope that by doing nothing, you're going to get better than your opponent. Or rather, you're going to put yourself in a victorious position as opposed to your opponent. Observer comes in. He's got Blink. He misses the Blink. Ouch. Alright, well, he's going to try and whittle down his opponent's gateway army at this moment. There's nothing wrong with at least trying. Look at it this way. That Zealot is just a little bit less tankier than it was before previously. And in the background, were there some probes dying? There were even more dying. And I missed it. Sorry, it came to about 15 altogether. Uh-oh. That's only one Stalker. No, Nexus Cannon is activated. That Oracle killed 11 probes before it was taken down. Oh. Observer can already see these guys. This is just not a good position to be in if you're Calm Storm right now. But hey, look at it this way. He's only down by about 13 supply. Adding to what's going on in the background right now. He's going to be going for... I really don't see any advantages he has over his opponent, but he's going for the same thing that his opponent has right now. If he could get something like, say, a Warp Prism in the makes, and later on in the game with both players are using Colosso! Boy, that was a nice hop out, I might add. But later on in the game when they both start using Colossus, he can at least use the Warp Prism to kite his opponent's, or aggro his opponent's Colossus, thus grabbing their attention and pulling away from the main fight. Little things like that make a big difference. But on paper, it looks good. But in theory and practice, it's a completely different concept. Alright, so Zelnaga Watchtower has been taken down, at least at that point. And it looks like Calm's going to try and take it back for himself. Meanwhile, his red Wrecking Ball opponent is going to go ahead and take that 6 o'clock position expansion as his third. And Takedo Saya is just, he's keeping tabs on his opponent. He knows that his opponent's third should be coming relatively soon, and if it doesn't, well, that means all in. That means basically balls to the wall, all in. Background, we're gonna have the Templar Archives going down. And what else is going down? I imagine Storm. Maybe some more gateways, especially once we have that oversaturation point hit. The natural has about 4 more workers than it will need. Main is just now tossing some of those to the natural as well. Dumping those with the natural, if you will. Okay. Here we go. I'm a little bit flabbergasted as to why we have a cannon here. I mean, like, that's typically something that you see whenever you know your opponent is going for DTs, but speaking of, we just had one disappear coming from Calm Storm, if I'm not mistaken. Watching his backdoor rocks with that pylon, I like that move. But now, Takedo Saya is moving out. He doesn't see a third coming from his opponent. He's like, okay, he could be preparing for a massive attack on 2 bases, but just as I say that, I'm not sure if he's aware of that the 12 o'clock position. He's not. And right now it is 84 supply taking on 48. So adding push to shove, tankiness, and 2 Colossus. Well, both sides have 2 Colossus, but one is basically a paper armor, a wood armor army backed with 2 mops, laser mops, if you will. And now we've got Takeda Saya just saying, hey man, get out of my game. Not trying to make a personal attack towards Calm Storm, I'm just saying this is what it looks like from my perspective. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, that was game number 2 in what I believe is a pennant race format between Braveheart and Yoey Flashwolves. Right now the score is an even 1-1 between both sides if I am not, again,